Joining us now is Reince Priebus, chairman of the Republican National Committee. Good afternoon, sir.
Hey, good afternoon, Martin. Thank you for having me on.
It's a delight. So, good news for the RNC. Romney at 49%, the president at 46%. This looks like a good time for Republicans, doesn't it?
Well, I mean, it's a good time for Republicans, but unfortunately for our country, it's a terrible time for people that are looking for work, because we've got a president who just doesn't seem to want to engage in what the most obvious problems are in our country. And that is, and you laid it out just perfectly with just the numbers, which is we're dying under an avalanche of debt. We've got a president that's proposed a budget that includes the biggest budget deficit in the history of our country. We've got real problems in this country, and we're really in a battle for the very idea of America economically. So I'm not surprised that we have a poll here that shows that basically only 27% of all registered Americans believe that this president's doing a good job, and only 20% of Americans think that he's handling the economy well. With that type of record, this president is not going to get elected, and he's not going to get reelected if he can't put Americans back to work.
It's interesting, isn't it, Mr. Priebus, because you're right to appeal to the economy as his greatest opponent. You don't appeal to a particular Republican candidate, because that doesn't appear to be where the potential challenge to him is coming from. It's from the economy. That's where this election is likely to be lost, isn't it?
Well, the problem the president has right now is it's an old, this is it's a sort of a political test that all candidates have. It's how do you square up against anyone but the president, or how do you square up at anyone but him? And right now, anyone but Obama does pretty well in a generic poll, and that's because Americans are coming to the conclusion that we have someone in the White House that's whistling past the graveyard, while unfortunately, and as stunning as it is, our country is going broke. I mean, that's terrible that we're even talking about this right now in our country, but that's where we're at, and Americans are learning that. And listen, this is not, I'm the chairman of the Republican National Committee. This is not a Republican or Democrat issue anymore. This is about saving our country, and our economy is in the ditch. And we have to do something about it, and unfortunately this president just doesn't get it.
In this same polling group, Republican voters were asked who they'd vote for if a caucus were held today. And again, Mitt Romney topped the list, with Palin following, but no one else reached double digits. Are you concerned at all that there appears to be an overall dissatisfaction with potential candidates for the GOP? And how do you see this particular race, focusing on your own party, how do you see that race shaking down?
Well, Martin, I think the field is still getting set. I think it'll be set by the end of summer. But I think the field as it is now is very strong. I think that we have intelligent, articulate alternatives to a president that the American people are getting ready to fire.
Would you like to see Sarah Palin run?
It doesn't bother me either way. I mean, I'm happy with whomever gets in the race.
So you're not particularly committed to her running, and you're not that bothered, as you say?
I'm not committed to anyone, Martin. I mean, I'm committed to doing whatever I can to make Barack Obama one-term president, because I think he's destroying our country economically, and that's my job at the Republican National Committee.
Okay, let's turn now to Anthony Weiner. House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi has called for an ethics investigation into his sexting scandal. I know this is a bit of a gift for you, but you have also called for his immediate resignation, haven't you?
Well, I mean, the man is a creep, and he's a member of the United States Congress, and he's admitted to flat-out lying, not only to the American people multiple times, but to multiple reporters, and even coming back to hallways after he knew what the truth was,
Priebus, can I ask you
is
John Ensign a creep as well?
Well, listen, I mean, this is about
can you
here
just
and
answer
now.
that?
I mean, John Ensign resigned. I mean, I'm not going to get into all the details of
Was he a creep prior to his resignation?
I have no idea about whether or not he was a creep or not, but the man resigned, and he did the honorable thing. And the reality is that I think Anthony Weiner should do the same. I mean, what's the solution? I mean, you've got Nancy Pelosi and my counterpart at the DNC basically being my counterpart's silent. Nancy Pelosi wants an investigation. Why do we need to spend taxpayer dollars on investigating whether or not the guy's a liar or whether or not he's fit for public office? The man should resign, and we should move on and put someone else there that's fit to serve.
Reince Priebus, again I repeat, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon.
Thank you, Martin. Appreciate it.